Good evening, leaders and strategists. In today's fast evolving world, staying ahead means understanding the forces shaping our economy and workforce. This presentation offers a sharp, executive level overview of four critical topics: the macroeconomy and the business cycle, the real impact of tariffs and trade wars, game changing insights from behavioral economics, and how the rise of AI is reshaping labor market inequality. In just a few minutes, you will gain strategic insights to help you steer your organization through complexity and towards opportunity. Singapore's projected GDP expansion in 2024 was 2 to 3%, a GDP per capita that is the highest in the region. This is an indicator that the state's continued economic expansion, which corresponds with the expansion phase of the business cycle, where GDP increases and business activity thrives. Singapore remains a choice location for new investments and business activities expansion. Such growth is supported by a gradual pickup in the manufacturing and trade-related sectors on the back of robust electronics demand, including continued recovery in air travel and tourism demand, and stable growth in the finance and tourism sector. Inflation is defined as a sustained and widespread increase in prices across the economy. In Singapore, its annual inflation rate eased 0.9% in Feb 2025, which is lower than 1.2% in the previous month. It marked as the lowest inflation rate since February 2021, as prices increased at a softer pace for food, transport, while it remained unchanged for housing and utilities. A dynamic relationship exists between GDP and unemployment, including inflation. There is an inverse relationship between GDP growth and unemployment, meaning higher GDP often leads to lower unemployment and vice versa. Whereas there is an inverse relationship between inflation and unemployment, with lower unemployment potentially leading to higher inflation. Figure 8 illustrates the effect of tariffs on imports, specifically in the context of Singapore exports to the United States. In the demand and supply diagram, the DS curve represents the domestic supply in Singapore, and the DD curve shows the domestic demand for goods. Before the tariff, Singapore exports goods to the US at a competitive price, represented by Q World, because it can produce only a certain amount domestically and must rely on imports for the difference. However, when tariffs or trade barriers are imposed by the US, the price of Singapore's exports to the US increases. This leads to a decrease in the quantity of exports, shifting the supply curve to the left. As prices rise, domestic production in Singapore increases to make up for the reduced exports, and this leads to an increase in domestic supply, moving the domestic quantity Q to the right. The direct consequence of this is that Singapore's exports become less competitive in the US market, leading to lower demand and a reduction in the quantity of goods sold. This causes a shift in the quantity of goods from Q world to a lower level, represented by the new equilibrium after the tariff is imposed. If Trump disregards the FTA, US tariffs on Singapore imports can increase to 0.71%, with specific goods such as semiconductors and pharmaceuticals with an additional 0.75%, bringing the total rate to 1.5%. This mechanism creates a decrease in imports, an increase in domestic production, and higher prices paid by consumers. Tariffs cause an increase in the price of imported goods. As a result of price increases, domestic producers are not forced to compete directly with competitors on price, so domestic consumers have to pay higher costs. Singapore's growth is likely to slow with its full-year outlook facing considerable downside risks, especially from rising geopolitical tensions due to higher tariffs and elevated trade policy uncertainty under Trump. Singaporean consumers would therefore face higher prices for both domestic and imported goods as a result of the tariff imposition. Understanding the psychology of how people make decisions can shed light on crucial factors contributing to the cause and maintenance of public health problems like obesity. Several insights from psychology and behavioral economics that help explain why people are particularly vulnerable to the current food environment. These insights fall into the following categories: the influence of starting points, status quo, bias, and anchoring effects, communicating health information, simplicity and farming, and unintended consequence of political intervention, compensation, substitution, and the peanuts effect. In the new analysis, IMF staff examined the potential impact of AI on the global labor market. In advanced economies, about 60% of jobs may be impacted by AI. Half the exposed jobs may benefit from AI integration, enhancing productivity. For the other half of labor market advanced economies, AI applications may execute key tasks currently performed by humans, which could lower labor demand, leading to lower wages and reduced hiring. In the most extreme cases, some of these jobs may disappear. The effect of labor income will depend on the extent to which AI will complement high-income workers. If AI significantly complements higher-income workers, it may lead to a disproportionate increase in their labor income. Moreover, gains in productivity from firms that adopt AI will boost capital returns, which may also favor high earners. Both of these phenomena can exacerbate inequality. In most scenarios, AI will worsen overall inequality, a troubling trend that policymakers must proactively address to prevent the technology from further stoking social tensions. It is crucial for countries to establish comprehensive social safety networks and also offer retraining programs for vulnerable workers.